Donald Trump took direct aim at former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney and the rest of the January 6th Select Committee during his sit-down with Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker, accusing the committee of targeting him and then destroying the evidence.
And Cheney was behind it, and so was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee. For what they did, honestly, they should go to jail.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
For what they did.
Everyone on the committee, you think
I think everybody anybody that voted in favor.
Are you going to direct your FBI director and your attorney general to send them to jail?
No, not at all. I think that they'll have to look at that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to focus on drill, baby, drill.
In the last hour, Liz Cheney released a statement saying, quote, "This morning, President-elect Trump again lied about the January 6th Select Committee and said members of the committee should, quote, go to jail for carrying out our constitutional responsibilities. Here is the truth. Donald Trump attempted to overturn the 2020 presidential election and seize power." Joining me now, MSNBC political analyst Brendan Buck, a former chief communications advisor for former House Speaker Paul Ryan and a former press secretary to former House Speaker John Boehner, and Democratic strategist Amisha Cross, a former Obama campaign advisor. Whoo, child. Okay, that clip from Donald Trump, just your respective reactions. Brendan, you go first.
Yeah, I mean, to state the obvious, he didn't even articulate what a crime they would have committed. Anybody who holds a committee hearing has not committed a crime. In fact, the Constitution protects, the speech and debate clause protects members of Congress from really anything they do officially. I will say, if the president wants to, or president-elect wants to derail his presidency really fast, trying to prosecute Liz Cheney and bring back up what happened on January 6th is a very quick way to do that. It's one of the least popular things of his entire presidency, obviously. And the thing that most people have the lowest regard for, one of the most shameful days in American history. If he wants to start off by reminding people what he did on January 6th, I guess I invite him to do that. That's probably not going to end out very well for him.
I mean, should you agree with that?
No, Brendan's right. I feel like from what we heard from President Trump earlier today, at the end of the day, he has not given up on anything related to the past election. He's still holding on to believing that he won in 2020, and he wants to pursue individuals who went against him for trying to steal that election. And with that being said, Liz Cheney is on that list, as is everybody else who is a part of that January 6th commission. And I feel like we have seen that he's tried to delineate between him being the person who pursues this versus those who he's potentially appointed being the people who pursue it. But at the end of the day, he is definitely out on this vengeance tour because he wants to ensure the fact that he believes that 2020 was stolen from him, and he wants to continue to pursue those angles.
Well, on that point, Kristen did ask him about this very thing you're talking about and whether Kash Patel should investigate Trump's enemies. Watch this.
You campaigned on destroying the deep state. Do you want Kash Patel to launch investigations into people on that list?
No, I mean, he's going to do what he thinks is right.
Are you going to direct him to do it?
No, not at all.
You wrote on Truth Social in 2023 that you're going to appoint a real special prosecutor to go after Joe Biden. Now you're saying you're not going to do that.
I will say this. No, I'm not doing that unless I find something that I think is reasonable. But that's not going to be my decision. That's going to be Pam Bondi's decision.
I mean, sorry. I mean, come on. This sort of just proves your point. He doesn't have to say, go out and direct them and say, Brendan, I want you to go and investigate Liz Cheney. Dude, Brother Man Kash Patel has an enemies list in the back of the latest book he wrote.
Yeah. I mean, that begs the question, do you know who you just appointed to be FBI director? He wrote a literal book about the deep state and how, look, Kash Patel believes deeply that there is a deep state in the government who was out to get Donald Trump, and he has said that whoever the next FBI director, just happens to be potentially him, their first job should be going out and rooting out those people. Donald Trump can claim ignorance all he wants to this, but it's going to become very clear very fast. If that's how this government is going to be run, I think it's going to be a huge blowback and honestly do significant damage to our safety and security, because the FBI is obviously a very important federal agency.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to add something?
No, I agree absolutely. I think that what we're seeing is a president-elect who does not want to appear to have his hands on the table here, but he also has appointed people who he knows will do that work, be it whether it's Kash Patel, be it whether it's Pat Bondi. He knows, or Pam Bondi, he knows that at the end of the day, these are people who are going to do his bidding when it comes to that enemies list, when it comes to attacking people from the January 6th commission. He knows that that is what they are intended to do, because these are the people who said it multiple times over for the past few years. They're on record talking about how much they want to go after these people. They will do that exact thing.
They're very transparent.
That's why they were chosen.
Right. Okay, let's talk in the 90 seconds we have left. Here's what he had to say about how he made Obamacare better.
Do you have an actual plan at this point for health care?
Yes, we have concepts of a plan that would be better.
Still just concepts? Do you have a fully developed plan?
Let me explain. We have the biggest healthcare companies looking at it. We have doctors. We're always looking because Obamacare stinks. I am the one that saved Obamacare, I will say, and I did the right thing. I could have done the more political thing and killed it, and all I had to do is starve it to death.
You did try to have your Justice Department effectively kill it, though,
No.
sir.
Kill it from a legal standpoint, but from a physical standpoint, I made it work.
You can't want to kill it from a legal standpoint, but from another standpoint, wanting to make it work. At the end of the day, as somebody who was, I don't know why, put in an AP math class in high school, that's not my jam. So I think I had concepts of a math plan as well. When you don't have something in place that would make something better, his idea from day one, and Republicans writ large, has been to eradicate Obamacare. They never had any repeal and replace, but they never had an idea of what to replace it with. He still doesn't have a replacement idea. We know that Obamacare, ACA, whatever you want to call it, on the ground has been largely effective. It has been expansive. It has been something that allowed for health care for people who largely would not have had it in any other way. It has provided a level of assurance for American families across the country, regardless of whether you're in a red state, blue state, purple state, or anywhere in between. He does not have an answer to it. He tried his best to kill it. It is not unpopular on the campaign trail. He recognizes that he will take an L, and at the end of the day, he did everything to kill it. He is not somebody who made it better. He wanted to eradicate it in its entirety.